This is Haley Bowen, and I am here with Whitly Theriault, one of my boot camp alumni, to talk about your experience with the 12-week Strategic Foundation boot camp. Yay! So, Whitly is just such an inspiration, and it was such a pleasure to do this boot camp with you. And I know that, when I approached you with this opportunity, you were a little bit hesitant because you have a marketing background, right?
Right.
So before we get into that, I'm kind of jumping the gun here. Before we get into it, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business,
Okay.
Skyple,
Sure.
and why you're doing what you do, just so everybody can kind of understand you.
Awesome. Okay, so I started up a network, basically an online network for women in my local area, and basically it was a network to help women, support them, and to help them learn and grow. And so I guess it kind of came down to me feeling passionate about helping women succeed. And at the time, I didn't really know how to articulate that, though. So I just I had this inner desire to bring women together, to help them learn and grow from one another, and to help them not feel alone. So during that journey, I built this online group, and women were coming together, and it was great. However, I felt like there were some pieces still missing, and so I had joined a program in my city, and in that program, I was basically validating Skyple,
Right.
the network community that I built, into a business idea. So I did a lot of research, and I really dived into it to understand if I could actually make a business out of what I was loving doing.
Right. Because you had spent a couple of years building this beautiful network of women. I think when I started talking to you, I think you had about 700 people in this network.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of effort and a lot of work, and you needed to monetize that, right? Because you wanted to be able to do more, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So when I went through this program, at the end of it, I came out and I had validated it. As a business, and so I was ready to go and start this business. However, there were a couple of things still missing. So there was one, I didn't feel like I was connecting with a particular type of female within the network. And that particular female was someone who I really wanted to help bring out their passions and really help them grow and succeed. And so that part of it kind of got left out of it. And so when you and I met and we got talking about the boot camp and what you do, and I could totally understand you were so passionate about it, and you had all these amazing ideas. And so when you had asked me to join the boot camp, I was a little bit hesitant because I was thinking to myself, well, I've already done all this work and I need to start implementing and building the business. So if I join this boot camp, it's going to probably take me away or backtrack me. So there was a lot of a lot of things that came out. But ultimately I decided to go ahead and go forward with the boot camp. And best thing ever.
I love to hear that.
It was so awesome. So for a couple of reasons. Number one, Haley, you really helped me to draw out my purpose and to help me articulate that purpose.
Yeah.
And you were able to piece that missing puzzle piece that I wasn't getting from the other program that I had taken. And so what that allowed me to do was basically include my passion and my purpose on a deeper level so that I could take Skyple further and really connect and help more women. So that was awesome.
Yeah. And I remember when we were going through that, it was an emotional journey for you, and it was an emotional journey for me. I think you had me in tears a couple of times. But I do think that, when you have somebody helping you to dig and peel the layers back, it does help you to get reconnected with the deeper purpose for why you're here, what you're here to do. And I feel like with you, it's just such a beautiful story, your life and what you have done. and to be able to come out and then try to help other people overcome some of the hurdles that you had to overcome, right? So I loved doing Purpose with you, and that's an emotional week for me, the first week of boot camp, because I get to dig into everybody's.
It's deep.
It's deep. Yeah, it's deep. But it's well worth it.
And it was wonderful too, because I feel like there are so many there's so many times when people start businesses and they go to experts, or they go to different programs and stuff, and I feel like that is such a vital link, is tying in your purpose with business, because ultimately, when you are experiencing those challenges and when things are hard and you feel like giving up, it's usually that purpose, that passion that you have that's tied to your business that keeps you going and persevering. Right?
It is. It helps me. I know it's helped you.
Definitely.
Okay, so what was there anything else about the boot camp that you would like to share with everybody that you think, was a good or bad experience for you?
Oh my goodness, there are so many amazing things that I could share about the boot camp. So the purpose part, that was huge for me. The second part was, Haley is amazing. Like, you are amazing. You were like my cheerleader, my go-to expert, my coach. It was awesome all around. And I honestly feel like if I hadn't taken the boot camp, I feel like I still would have been turning my gears and still planning, still researching, still
She's a planner.
Yes, it's crazy. It's like at some point you have to just take action and just try it, and if it, tweak it as you go, right?
Yeah.
And that was a big thing. Haley really, really pushed me. So even though I'm driven, and I do things and I get things done, but there was still a lot of hesitancy. There was still a lot of fear of.
Well, I think with you, it was almost the build-up, right? Like, you spent 2 years doing this. You spent the 12 weeks in the other camp. You spent 6 weeks with me before we started talking about executing it.
Right.
Like, you had spent so much time on this vision that if it didn't work out the way you wanted to do, I think it would have been so heartbreaking for you. And I think that was part of your hesitation, right?
Yeah.
So you were kind of stopping yourself, whereas I was like, I don't freaking care. It's an awesome idea. We've got it set. We know who you're talking to. We understand your client. We know what you need to say, and how you're going to be able to connect with them, so that then you can help them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, you really, really helped me by just pushing me and making me go for that big goal, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously helping me along the way as well, which was amazing. So it was funny because I remember saying to a friend of mine, she said, well, when do you think you're going to launch the Skype Tribe? And I said, oh, well, probably not for another year. Yeah, right? And this was during this, and then when I was working with you, this was probably, I literally launched the Skype Tribe within a month after saying that statement to a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing was, you were ready.
Right.
It's just you were... you needed that push, and you needed the plan, a plan that you could feel confident in. And I think that having somebody who, like me, who has, pushed through hundreds of marketing plans and strategies to say you're on the right track, or let's just tweak it this way. It just gives you that extra boost, I think, to say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to I'm going to hit the go button. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then there was the other thing as well that I really, really got from the marketing bootcamp were the buyer personas.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of this in the prior in a different program, and when I had to validate my idea, I had to understand who my customer was, and so I had a bit of a foundation of who my customer was. But Haley took me deeper than that, to the point where I was talking their language. So when I did the build up to the launch of the Skype Tribe, I felt really, really confident in delivering my messages because I knew exactly who the Skype Tribe was for, how it was going to serve them, and the why. And you really helped me with that, with the buyer persona. So that was pretty incredible.
Yeah. I mean, that's key to everything. And I know that a lot of people think they know their customers, but you don't. You're assuming you know, unless you really ask your customers the deeper questions and push for the why. you don't necessarily know, you kind of know that more on a superficial level, and to really connect with people emotionally, which is what you need to do to get people to motivate them to act the way you want, to buy what you're buying or buy what you're selling. You need to be able to connect with them emotionally, and they need to feel that trust with you. So you already had the trust. It was because you had the group for a couple of years.
Right.
So it was all about being able to connect with some of the things that really mattered to the women that you were serving.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Right. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So what's your buyer persona's name?
Sarah.
Sarah.
Sarah, and I know everything about her. I know what kind of car she drives. I know how many kids she has and all that.
Yeah. We do spend quite a bit of time on that, because I mean that's everything we do for our customers, right? So we do it for our purpose, which makes us feel really good and makes us feel like we're having a meaningful business and a meaningful life, and then we do it for our customers so that they can get the benefits of what we can offer, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So one of the other things that we talked about a lot, and we spent a lot of time on with you, was your promise, which is what you will deliver constantly, consistently over time that people can count on you for. Right. So, and you were toying with a few different things. Yeah. And we ended up all about communities, building communities and connections, but we went a little bit more specific with you. So do you remember what I'm talking about in terms of the discussions that we had? Because you were a little hesitant on one of the things that you felt strongly about.
Right.
So do you want to share just that discussion? Because I think it's really important that when we create a brand, it's authentic to who we are. So tell us that little story.
I will. So there was something that, and I remember I remember not even wanting to mention it to you. I was like, oh no. So for me personally, I feel like, personal growth is essential to anyone's success. And for myself, I'm constantly working on my personal growth. And through that personal growth, I really have embarked on this spiritual journey. Yeah. And so I have been growing spiritually. However, that term spirituality can get, I guess, thrown out there with many different terms. So people kind of can confuse it with religion and different things, right? So it can be offsetting to some people. Yeah. So I remember feeling so deeply connected with spirituality and feeling like that has become a part of me and who I am and what I do and how I apply things every day in my life. And so I really wanted to include that into Skyple in my business. Yeah. But I was afraid to do it. I was afraid that,
because it's like business and spirituality, do they mix?
Right. Yeah. And also feeling like that would be a turnoff to people if I incorporated that. But anyways, I decided to talk with Haley about it and ask you about what your thoughts were on me incorporating spirituality, because essentially it is a piece of me, it's part of me.
Yeah, and something that you felt would help people.
Right, absolutely.
So we talked about it, but we reconnected with your ideal client.
Yes.
And your ideal client is somebody who would be open to that.
Yes.
And you want to attract those people, right? So there's no fear in having something, and also it was different, right? There's lots of women's networking groups. There's lots of help for entrepreneurs and stuff. But this combined spirituality,
the personal growth,
and professional growth. Right. Yeah. And I think the combination of those three in the communities that you have really sets you apart.
Right.
So I was very pro adding it because it also helps you to be more authentically you.
Totally.
Right?
Yes.
To not have to hold that side back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that, and I'm glad I talked to you about it, because I'm glad that you got me, you gave me that little push of, totally.
Yeah, so we were only appealing to Sarah, right?
Right.
Our target. You know what? I thank you so much. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Well, other than the fact that the marketing boot camp is amazing and so worth the investment, I would just say if you're on the fence, go for it, because it is a game changer for the better.
Oh, I love that, and that's what I want to do, right? So I'm fulfilling my mission with clients like you. I will say before we go that knowing your ideal client and the personas helps you to attract more of the clients that you want.
Yeah.
Right? So every client that I have, including you, is exactly the type of client I'm looking for, right? Which is like super hardworking, super passionate, super dedicated, but open to new ideas.
Yeah.
And just ready to push their business forward. And when I did my buyer personas, like I found lots of interesting little tidbits that were connecting all of my clients that make them ideally suited for me. One of them, which I'll just mention because it's kind of funny, is the law of attraction.
Oh, yeah.
So when I dug deep into my clients and what their interests were, I think 95% of them said something along those lines.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy.
It
But
is.
that kind of information helps you to market in a certain way, helps you to target on Facebook and all of this other stuff. And it attracts people that you can work the best with. And that's what we want. We want to only attract the clients that we will help the most.
Yeah.
Right?
You're so right about that. It really takes a lot of the complexity and the hard work out of it when you understand your clients, right? And you're attracting your ideal clients.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Whitly. I really appreciate you taking the time and telling everybody about your experience.
Thanks.
And we will see you soon.
Awesome.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Whitly. Bye.